Just really happy for the both of them, and it should be a fun All-Star. Even if you don't have tickets to the game, they put a lot of time and effort into make this city a lot of fun for a lot of people that are coming into town.
In the middle of a high-stakes game, as the crowd roared and the pressure mounted, everything suddenly paused when a young disabled fan bravely stepped forward to confront Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. What began as a quiet plea quickly turned into one of the most emotional moments ever witnessed on the court. Their reactions, raw, heartfelt, and completely unscripted, left fans in tears and players visibly moved. This wasn't about basketball anymore. It was about humanity, compassion, and connection. What happened next will stay with you long after the final buzzer, when inclusion becomes reality. Long before that unforgettable night unfolded, something powerful had already been taking shape behind the scenes. A quiet but steady transformation in the way sports welcomed their fans. For many years, stadiums and arenas were designed like massive castles, impressive to look at, but cold and unfeeling to anyone who didn't fit the narrow idea of a typical spectator. If you used a wheelchair, had vision challenges, or simply needed extra help, getting inside to watch your favorite team could feel more like running an exhausting obstacle course than joining in a joyful event. The WNBA has been leading the charge to change that outdated model. It's no longer enough for sports organizations to simply hang a sign that says, "Everyone is welcome." True inclusivity demands action and proof, visible in every ticket purchased, every entrance ramp built, and every seat installed. Today, modern arenas reflect this shift in mindset. They offer accessible parking spaces right near the entrance, so fans don't have to struggle just to get inside. Restrooms are built with thoughtful layouts that make them easy to use with dignity, not shame. Wide hallways and open concourses ensure that people using mobility devices can move around comfortably and without feeling like they're in the way. But accessibility doesn't stop at physical needs. For fans who have sensory sensitivities, like difficulty coping with loud noise or bright lights, there are now quiet spaces where they can take a break, along with special noise-canceling headphones that make the environment less overwhelming. Sign language interpreters are also on hand to translate key moments and announcements, so deaf or hard-of-hearing fans can experience every cheer and crucial update alongside everyone else. Gainbridge Fieldhouse, home to the Indiana Fever, is a perfect example of how far things have come. From the instant you arrive, you can feel that you matter here. There are signs, both the ones you read and the unspoken ones you sense in the air, that show you belong. The staff greet every guest warmly, offering help without hesitation or judgment. The building itself is designed not merely to meet regulations, but to anticipate what people might need before they even ask. For too long, sports events pushed disabled fans to the sidelines, hidden away, ignored, or treated as an afterthought. But that is finally changing. The invisible walls that once kept people apart are beginning to crumble. In their place is a sense of shared community that lifts everyone up. That night, when a disabled fan spoke up during the game, it was the most powerful proof of what real inclusion makes possible. Because when people feel genuinely welcomed, they gain confidence. They feel free to cheer, to express themselves, and to claim their place among the crowd. And when that happens, it doesn't just transform their personal experience, it changes the entire atmosphere. The joy becomes bigger, the energy more electric, and the sense of belonging contagious for everyone lucky enough to be there. What did the disabled fans say? How did the others perceive her courage? How did Caitlin and Sophie react? Let's delve into the details of the moment that touched millions. The ripple effect of compassion. When Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham shifted their focus away from the scoreboard and turned to look at just one fan in the crowd, something remarkable happened. Something no statistic or highlight reel could ever truly capture. It was like someone flipped a switch, and suddenly the entire arena seemed to glow with a different kind of light. The cameras were quick to record the moment, and in almost no time the video was spreading across social media like a fast-moving wildfire. People didn't just watch the clip once, they watched it again and again. They shared it with friends, commented on it, and many found themselves wiping away tears. But this wasn't just another viral clip designed to distract for a few seconds. This was a story that touched something deep and universal inside almost everyone. The simple, human longing to be noticed, to feel valued, to be treated as if you truly belong. For many fans living with disabilities, the moment felt even more powerful. It was more than just moving or heartwarming. It felt like proof that they too are part of the sports community, not as outsiders looking in, but as important members whose presence matters. Seeing two-star athletes take time to connect with someone who is often overlooked sent a message louder than any cheering crowd. You matter here. You belong. Sports psychologists have long pointed out that these unscripted acts of kindness leave a bigger mark on our hearts than any game-winning shot. When an athlete steps away from the intensity of competition to show simple human decency, it creates ripples that travel far beyond the edge of the court. It's a quiet lesson to every kid watching from the stands or at home. True greatness isn't just about breaking records or collecting trophies. It's about showing up for people and meeting them where they are. But as beautiful as these stories are, they also come with a gentle warning. Advocates for disability rights remind us that sharing moments of inclusion must be done with care. There is a thin line between honoring someone's experience and turning it into a spectacle. Sometimes media coverage crosses that line into something called inspiration porn, when a disabled person's life becomes an emotional story mainly to inspire everyone else, rather than to respect their own dignity. The young fan who was at the heart of that moment deserved to have their story told in a way that didn't strip away their voice or turn their feelings into a lesson for others. Responsible reporting means remembering that their humanity comes first. In the end, as millions of people watched and discussed the clip, one thing became clear. This moment was far bigger than any final score. It was a shining example of how athletes have a special kind of power, the power to affirm someone's worth with the simplest gesture, like pausing to listen, to smile, and to say without words, "You are seen." But how did the emotional scene happen? Was it just an imagination, a dream, or something unbelievable? Let's dig into the details of the game that showcased the confident disabled fan. The night the roar fell silent. Sometimes in sports, you experience moments so thrilling they feel like something out of a movie. You almost can't believe they're real. This was meant to be one of those unforgettable nights. The Indiana Fever came charging onto the court, powered by Caitlin Clark's relentless energy. Right from the tip-off, they exploded with an 8-0 run, sending thousands of fans leaping out of their seats. People were on their chairs, fists pumping the air, their voices already ragged from all the yelling. The cheers were so loud you didn't just hear them, you could feel them vibrating in your chest. All eyes were glued to the action. Cameras were rolling, capturing every sprint and every shot that would later fill countless highlight reels. But for all the dazzling plays and big numbers, none of those replays would ever capture the real heart of the evening. Because the most powerful moment wasn't a three-pointer or a blocked shot. It wasn't the much-hyped showdown between the brilliant rookie and the seasoned veteran. It was a single voice, soft, trembling, but unbelievably courageous, that rose up from the stands. In the middle of the chaos, it somehow cut straight through the roaring noise. And just like that, the entire arena seemed to hold its breath. Thousands of people, who seconds before were screaming as one, fell silent in an instant. It was as if everyone, players, coaches, security guards, even the people selling popcorn, sensed that something extraordinary was happening. A disabled fan, with a spirit stronger than any athlete's record, had summoned the bravery to speak out during the spectacle. And the effect was immediate. The scoreboard still burned bright. The shot clock kept counting down, but everything else seemed to freeze. In that hush, the true magic of sports was laid bare for everyone to see. It wasn't about winning or losing. It wasn't about polishing a legacy or protecting someone's pride. In that quiet, it became crystal clear that sports, at their best, are about human connection, about seeing one another, really seeing. For a few precious seconds, every barrier, fame, fear, competition, fell away. Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, who just moments before were locked in fierce rivalry, turned together to face the voice that had stilled the arena. Their eyes softened and their expressions changed. They weren't just star athletes anymore. They were people, standing in solidarity with someone whose courage had reminded everyone of what truly matters. In that moment, the lesson was simple but profound. No matter how high you climb or how bright the spotlight shines on you, the greatest thing you can do is acknowledge another person's humanity. To look past the noise and the records and the expectations and simply see them. And in that act of recognition, the game transformed into something far bigger than basketball. The duo, Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, have recently been caught in a tense rivalry. Let's dive into the details of the battle that redefined competition. Rivals in the spotlight. The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham was already electric long before any added drama showed up. It was the kind of clash that fans circled on their calendars months ahead of time. On one side stood Sophie Cunningham, the Phoenix Mercury's fierce enforcer. At 6'1", she wasn't just tall, she was imposing. Cunningham had earned her reputation as one of the WNBA's toughest defenders, someone who never backed down from a challenge. Since she entered the league in 2019, she had been the heart of her team, pushing them forward with her determination, steady scoring, and icy cool three-pointers. In college at Missouri, she collected awards like they were souvenirs, multiple All-SEC honors that foreshadowed how dominant she'd become as a pro. Then, like a storm rolling over the horizon, Caitlin Clark arrived. She was the kind of player who doesn't just make headlines, she becomes the headline. The moment she stepped onto the court, the energy changed. Young girls clutched her jersey like a precious keepsake, while grown adults waited in long lines just to see her practice. Reporters practically tripped over each other trying to capture every moment she spent on the hardwood. Though officially a rookie, Clark carried herself like she had been born to do this. In spirit, she was already a superstar, a symbol of what women's basketball could be. Every time their teams met, the atmosphere felt almost electric. Fans knew they were in for a show. Cunningham with her unrelenting defense and steady confidence, Clark with her jaw-dropping shooting and fearless attacks to the rim. The trash talk flew back and forth, sharp words traded with smiles that dared the other to do better. Each matchup felt like a test of wills, the experienced veteran determined to defend her ground against the young phenom eager to rewrite the story. But on that particular night, the game took an unexpected turn. In the middle of all the fierce competition, a single fan's voice rose above the noise. It wasn't a jeer or a cheer, but something softer, a plea that cut straight through the tension. You could see it in the way both players paused, almost as if they realized, in that instant, there was something more important happening than who scored the next basket. Because even in the most heated rivalries, there's something deeply human beneath the drive to win. These athletes weren't just fighting for personal glory or bragging rights. They were carrying the dreams of the people who showed up, who believed, who cared enough to fill the seats night after night. In that moment, as the crowd quieted and the two players shared a fleeting look of understanding, it was clear. This wasn't just a battle between two stars. It was a reminder that the game, every dribble, every shot, every rivalry, only matters because of the hearts it touches. A single voice from the stands turned a clash of titans into something tender, reminding everyone why they loved the game in the first place. However, despite the rivalry between the duo, there has been a high level of cordiality. Let's delve into the cordial details of the duo. Cunningham backs Clark amid WNBA firestorm. Sophie Cunningham has made it very clear where her loyalty lies. As she stepped into the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for the Indiana Fever's latest showdown against the mighty Las Vegas Aces, all eyes were on her. But this time it wasn't just her game that caught attention. It was her outfit. The 28-year-old guard wore a loose white t-shirt with the words "Tres Leches" boldly printed on the front, a simple but powerful message that spoke volumes about her bond with Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull. This statement look came after a dramatic week that saw Cunningham become a headline name. Earlier, in a tense game against the Connecticut Sun, she had tackled J.C. Sheldon hard to the floor. Many felt it was payback. Just days before, Sheldon had poked Clark in the eye and gotten into a fiery exchange with her. As if that wasn't enough, Marina Mabrey followed up by throwing Clark down in a rough play that shocked fans. While Mabrey only received a technical foul and Sheldon a flagrant one, Cunningham decided she wouldn't sit quietly and watch her teammate get bullied. She made her feelings clear both on and off the court. Speaking at practice, Cunningham said she wasn't interested in all the extra drama people were talking about. In her eyes, it was simply part of standing up for her team. "I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities," she explained calmly. During that moment, it was part of the game. The referees, to be honest, had a lot to do with how things escalated. For years, they haven't been protecting the star players of this league, so if no one else will step in, I will. I'll always defend my teammates. That's who I am, a team player, no regrets. Her coach, Stephanie White, shared the same frustration. She called out the officials for losing control early in the contest. "We knew this was going to happen in the first quarter," she said, hinting that tensions had been brewing for a long time. Cunningham's choice to wear the Tres Leches shirt wasn't just a fashion move, it was a declaration. The nickname, which translates to 3 Milks, began as a fan joke about her, Clark, and Hull forming a tight-knit trio on and off the court. Since arriving in Indiana after her trade from the Phoenix Mercury in the off-season, Cunningham has wasted no time fitting in. She and her 2 teammates have built a strong bond that supporters quickly noticed. The shirt, sold by Barstool Sports, has become a kind of symbol for their friendship and unity in the face of criticism and rough play. Cunningham knew exactly what she was doing by wearing it so soon after the heated game against Connecticut. If anyone still doubted her commitment to Clark in the Fever, her actions and her outfit left no question. Sophie Cunningham is here to fight for her team, no matter what it takes. With the duo making waves in sports, they continue to put smiles on the faces of their fans, including the disabled ones. Let's dig into the details of the legacy they are leaving behind. Beyond the box score. Long after the final buzzer rang out and the arena began to empty, something powerful still hung in the air. Hours after the last cheers faded and the crowd disappeared into the darkness, the memory of that evening kept echoing in people's hearts. In the years to come, hardly anyone will remember the exact score. Even the most devoted fans who follow every play and memorize every statistic will find the details slipping from their minds. But one thing will never fade: the feeling everyone shared in that moment. That's the magic of sports. It isn't just about points on a scoreboard or shiny trophies locked in a glass case. It's about the way strangers sitting shoulder to shoulder suddenly feel like family. It's about the way an entire community rises and falls together with every shot, every pass, every moment of hope or heartbreak. It's in those split seconds when ordinary people become extraordinary, when the pressure is suffocating, the lights are blinding, and true character steps forward to be seen. On that unforgettable night, Caitlin Clark showed why her future is so promising. Ahead of her are record books waiting to be rewritten and championship titles waiting to be claimed. But what makes her truly special isn't just her talent. It's the way she carries herself with purpose and humility. Sophie Cunningham, too, gave people something to remember, not only because she plays with so much grit and determination, but because her kindness shines even brighter when the cameras turn off. These 2 athletes belong to a generation that understands something important. Their voices and actions can shape the world far beyond the court. Today's fans expect more than dazzling displays of skill. They long to see genuine passion. They want proof that athletes can inspire hope and build bridges, that greatness doesn't have to mean arrogance, and that winning doesn't have to overshadow compassion. When the highlights of the game are replayed over and over, it won't be only the shots or the passes people talk about. It will be those small, precious moments when competition took a back seat and humanity stepped forward. The way a simple gesture, a warm embrace, or a kind word reminded everyone watching that there is something bigger than victory. This is the kind of legacy that lasts much longer than any banner hanging from the rafters. It's a legacy made of feelings that are impossible to measure: pride, connection, inspiration. It's the reason people pack stadiums, watch late-night replays, and tell their children about nights like this one. Because in the end, it was never just about the game itself. It was about what the game revealed, about who we are, what we value, and how much we need each other. It's these moments that stay with us, reminding us why we care so deeply in the first place. What do you think about Caitlin, Sophie, and the disabled fan who confronted them. We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.